Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Titans. A lot of interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Obviously, the news gets dropped to everyone like, holy crap, that's Slade Wilson's daughter. And it was like, okay, so obviously the young Titans have no idea, with the exception of Jason, because I'm assuming it's like I said, we know that this is Titan business, OG Titan business, but I'm assuming he started off as a Batman villain, so he's probably at least someone Jason's heard of, because I'm sure, because it seems like he's been out of commission for a good long time, so it's probably a thing of like, because obviously Jason's only been doing a Robin thing for like a year, so it has to be a thing of like, he probably went scouring the computer, so he probably knows like, probably not just all Batman villains, but probably a majority of the Batman villains, along with probably like a lot of like, you know, DC villains in general, just whoever the Justice League's ever crossed paths with in any shape or form. But regardless, obviously there's a lot about this situation that Dick, as well as the other Titans, aren't bringing up. Because the fact of the matter is, because you even see like Donna coming in, she almost kind of get like, almost like PTSD flashes, but not in a, well, to a certain extent, but it's more so like there were good memories here, but all those memories are kind of tainted. So her, Dawn, and Hank, they don't plan on staying around. It's like the moment we're done with this Dr. Light thing, we're bouncing. Because this is kind of like, he's come after all of them, so it's like, okay, this is an OG Titan situation to deal with, so the new kids will, you know, stay out of this situation. But I was waiting for the moment that Dick reveals to like everyone who Rose is, and they're like, yep, because there's even security footage showing, you know, Slade attacking her, and I'm like, that's so interesting. In the moment they're like, wait, what? For one, they thought Slade was dead. I was wondering, like, so I guess I find it so interesting because it's like he went dormant for so long. But like I said, I was so curious, like why did Jason saying Titans are bat bitches was enough to set him off? I guess, you know, maybe because he associates, because, you know, he was dressed up like Robin, and obviously, you know, Dick was a part of the Titans, so like he associates it and just kind of snapped. But even just hearing Titans 2 from a Robin saying that probably just made it all flood back. But then it's like I said, there's something there that they're not talking about. It's like, you know, because it is in fact Slade's the reason why they walked away from this Titans day, and they were even like, we didn't just walk away, we barely got away from the situation, and they thought he was dead. Everyone thought he was dead. So now it's this whole Rose situation, which Dick is like, that's my problem. Dr. Light is our problem. Rose is mine. You don't even have to worry about it. So there's that. But we kind of understand a little bit more from Rose about like why she's doing all this. Apparently he killed her brother Jericho, which the way Dick was like, how long ago was it? She was like, it was like 4 years ago. And she's like, why now? It's because I found out he was in town. Like, obviously, like he's only become more active within the past 3 months. So that's why she chose now of all time. Like, Jason's announcement set, like, essentially woke up. He unleashed the beast in that moment. I'm thinking this has to deal with their OG T-Titans thing, because she says, like, my dad went after my brother because he was kicking it with the wrong crew. And the way Dick was acting, I'm like, he must have kicked it with the Titans, and Slade didn't appreciate that. Or maybe it's even a thing where Slade, because we know, like, depending on the continuity, because obviously, like, the whole Terra thing, like, Slade kind of pushed Terra to kind of infiltrate, you know, the Titans and stuff like that in the Teen Titans cartoon. So I'm curious, is it kind of a similar thing? Did he use his son to infiltrate the Teen Titans? Also, I appreciate they brought up the fact is he's from Hive. I'm like, okay, so we are getting Hive, which I don't know if he necessarily had that connection in the Teen Titans cartoon, but nevertheless, I'm like, yes, because obviously, once again, I brought that up before. Hive popped up in Arrow with the whole Damien Dark situation. That was in season 4. They haven't really popped back up at all in the Arrowverse, at least not to my knowledge. So it's kind of neat to kind of see them kind of dabbling in that, which kind of says, hey, since we're setting up Hive, all those other bad guys connected to Hive, we're golden, like, to potentially kind of set that all up, you know. So, but regardless of the situation, Rose is under the impression that Slade killed her brother. But my thinking is, it might be a thing of like, yeah, he was with them, but maybe he got in the way. He was with the Titans, but he got in the way of Deathstroke, and Slade accidentally killed him, and this kind of broke him, and he's just been wanting to kill the Titans ever since. But because maybe he thought they were gone, maybe he had no way of tracking them down, that's why he just kind of let things go. I mean, you know, to be fair, it's like Robin's been active, but I guess it's like they've been, I don't know. Like, I'm really curious to kind of dive into that. Like I said, because we know Robin's been active enough for him to know that. I mean, he's popped up here and there, but to be fair, he's going super dormant. So Maybe that's why he felt like he did enough damage, or maybe his rage was satisfied. Maybe so broken up about whatever the situation was that he just couldn't do it anymore. But like I said, seeing Jason, seeing a Robin bring up the words Titans, it just made it all come back almost to a PTSD type of thing. Maybe not. I'm very curious to kind of dive into that and, like I said, fully understand like that whole situation. Like obviously, it's not just the young Titans that, Dick is hiding stuff from. It. Like I said, it seems like it's Rose he's hiding stuff from as well. Like I said, it hasn't been easy for the others being Bat, because you have like, Hank is just commenting like, maybe I can suit up and things will be different, which Dawn is like, yeah, that's like any addict. Any addict would be like, well, things will be different this time. And, for him, it's like, because he even admits it later on, he's like, it feels good to be back here. There's part of him that like, obviously because Dick felt bad, like dragging them back. But for him, it's like, yeah, but there's a part of me that's just kind of excited to be back here, And, but Dawn is the whole conversation of like, if you suit up again, you can't suit up and not kind of fall back into your bad habits and drugs and stuff like that. Like you're going to use your vices as a crutch as well. And he's like, yeah, it's like, once we're all done, we'll kind of walk away from this situation. Cause this isn't who we have. This isn't have to basically define us, which is interesting. Cause he's like, which is funny considering coming from the lady who dresses up in the costume at night and does the whole superhero thing in secret. She's like, I'm sorry about that. But the difference is like, she can kind of handle the whole thing. For Hank, it's a trigger and he'll relapse if, he picks up the mantle and stuff like that again. They try to go after Dr. Light, but no luck. He ends up getting away. It's so interesting because, like, obviously at first, Hank is just mad because it's like you or old Robin would have just put him down without a, hesitation. But you being worried about other people, and now he's out there free, going to hurt a whole bunch of people. Obviously, this plays a role in Jason feeling like he's not being heard or recognized because Dick's telling him that, no, you have your chance to prove yourself, but let OG Titans handle this. Like, is that difference of just kind of like, why am I being put on the sidelines? Because I'm sure for him, it's like, I came here to kind of do my thing. You told me things were going to be different here, but now I kind of feel like I'm still in that same situation where Batman, where, I'm the sidekick, because he brought that up last episode, like, this is just a whole bunch of sidekicks trying to get together, so I'm sure that mentality just kind of bears down on him. And it's like, look, you should have taken me because Dr. Light got away. And you have Dick being like, do not start this, Jason. And he's like, get out of my way. He's like, no, you're in my way. I'm not here to, like I said, be on the sidelines anymore. And he starts clenching it and balling up his fist. And Dick's like, don't do it. And he does it. And then Dick just kind of lays him out really quickly. And it's like, and Dick's like, shit, sorry. But it's like, to be fair, it's like, it was a Dick move. I mean, I love that. It's like, he didn't, because he's like, I didn't mean to do it. But it's just, years of being Robin, it's just kind of that reaction of just kind of, sorry, man, I didn't mean to lay you out like that. Which also kind of showed you, how much of a punk Jason is that he kind of got laid out like that. But he's so intent on proving himself. It's so interesting, too, because he's talking mad shit to Rachel, because during training, which, once again, it blows my mind to see Rachel and Gar, like, handle themselves against Jason like that, the blindfolds and wooden swords. I'm like, yo, that's pretty dope, because it isn't just about practicing their powers. It is about defense, so kind of learning the fundamentals first, then kind of working your way up training-wise, because they kind of did the whole, like, jumping head first with your powers, showing off what we could do. Last season, let's kind of fine-tune our abilities. Like, let's start off with the basics, kind of like, I guess once you learn how to control yourself and defend yourself just without your powers, just on your own, because obviously there's going to be instances where you won't be able to rely on your powers, But obviously during training, we see Rachel's dark side come out. And it's so interesting just the way it looks, because when you look at her eyes, it's very reminiscent of Trigon. Because her eyes before would kind of go pure black, but now it's like there's red to it. It's like a little more demon, has been unleashed inside of her. It's so interesting because I think it's like, basically, the darkness was already there. It was kind of hard for her to control, but the moment her dad kind of broke her heart and put that jewel inside of her head, it awakened some other darkness. And dealing with, I guess, she says killing Trigon. She even says it later on, being like, I think somewhat. I was under the impression it's like, you sealed him away. I mean, maybe they're thinking like, Trigon's dead and gone, but maybe, I don't think it's going to be that easy to get rid of him. I mean, that's why he was sealed away in the first place, but maybe because she is his daughter and just how crazy powerful she is, she was able to kill him. We'll just ultimately have to wait and see, but I don't think he's dead. But I mean, maybe that's something they just kind of dealt with. Trigon's dead. We'll see. I did like the fact is that that's something her and Rose were able to bond over, the whole like not having great fathers. It's like, yeah, neither one of them have father year material. It was getting back to what I was bringing up. It's like Jason calling her a freak and all that. It's like, for one, you shouldn't be saying that. This coming from the dude that runs around in a Robin costume with a dude who runs around in a Bat costume. Many people will call you a freak and will call Batman a freak. I mean, truth be told, that happens a lot. So it's just kind of interesting, especially because it's like, well, what about Gar over there who can unzip his DNA and turn into animals? It's like, you're around certain company. I feel like you shouldn't say stuff like that because you yourself is kind of a weirdo just because of the whole Robin thing, but that's my stance on it. Obviously, it's hard for Rachel because obviously it's something she's trying to hold back because she's afraid that if she lets it go, it's going to be a big issue, which is like, yeah, to the point she was choking Jason, floating in the air, had a smile on her face. She was summoning up those swords, like she was pulling those swords off the rack and we're basically going to start throwing them into Jason. That would have been brutal. So there's that. But even with all kind of the bad blood and everything, it is still neat that Dick and Hank had that heart to heart where it's like, because like it's like, I'm sorry I can't stay, but I can't let Dawn down again. And he's like, then you won't. And Hank's like, then I won't. The fact of the matter is, it's like, why did we start this whole thing in the first place? And Hank was like, because of the beer. And then it's just like listing off all the awesome things that came about doing this whole superhero thing. But for Dick, it's like, because like he was like, why did you start this place back up again? And different people had asked him, like Donna had asked him that, and now Hank added, like, because at first the whole Donna situation, because obviously Donna's just concerned because it's like the fact of the matter is, yeah, we're dealing with Dr. Light now, but Slade is still out there, and I hope that none of the junior Titans have to be the ones that answer the door when he comes knocking. Because for her, it's like, you haven't even told them why we shut this place down in the first place, which once again, I think in next episode maybe we'll really kind of dive into that, but it's like, there's so much bad history to this place that you have to let them know what we did wrong so they can learn from our mistakes. Because if you don't tell them, they're bound to repeat them because history has a tendency to repeat itself like that. But for her, it's like, it's not just you, Dick. It's like everything kind of went wrong. It wasn't just on you. But I think because Dick was the leader, he feels the most responsible for like any bad shit that went down. But with Hank, for him, it's like when he was talking to Hank, Dick is like, this place is home. It's the first place that felt like home because everywhere else, it was just kind of almost like a substitute. It's like being with Bruce is making up for the fact that he can't be in the circus anymore. He can't be with his family, his parents anymore. But, being with Bruce never felt like home. This was like something that the Titans was his own. It was his own family. It was his own home. So it has a different vibe than being by Bruce's side, So I just think that's all kind of like an interesting element to the whole thing. So also note too, I brought it up last episode that the last thing I saw Michael Mosley in, or at least the most recent thing, obviously Michael Mosley is the actor who's playing Dr. Light, was Ozark. It didn't, I completely forgot until like I was watching the episode. I was like, right. Asai Morales, the actor who plays Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, was also in Ozark. He played Dale. I was like, right. I was like, I didn't even remember that until just now. That's so interesting. Just the parallels like that. I didn't even think about that. I'm trying to think. I don't think they ever had any scenes together in Ozark. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. I do like the fact is that Dr. Light is a little jokey and stuff like that. It's like, because, Slade is like, I'm glad we see eye to eye. He's like, oh, we better because you only have one of them. He's like, come on, dude, it was a joke. And he's like, I see. And he's like, oh, I see what you did there because, I see things. It's like, oh, let's light up those Titans. I just love the pun work there. Just the back and forth between them. But obviously it's like, Dr. Light has his grudge against the Titans, and obviously Slade has his own thing. But for him, it's like, we're not going to straight up kill them. What we're going to do is we're going to toy with them. He's like, oh, and Dr. was like, oh, so we're going to fuck with their minds. I can totally get behind that. So it's going to be a slow process of kind of like slowly breaking them down one by one, potentially, and just knocking off the weakest links. In this particular case, it seems like Jason. We'll get to that soon enough, but dealing with all of that, and then, then eventually taking them down. So that's interesting. I did like Rose and Dick fighting because for him, it's like, I'm not here to teach you how to get into killing blow or whatever. I'm here to teach you how to defend yourself. And, it's like, sometimes when things kind of go wrong, fighting brings out the best of us. But then Dick was like, yeah, but it also can also bring out the worst of us. And so it's pretty dope seeing them kind of fight. Like, she is pretty skilled. There is no denying that. So I thought that was kind of pretty awesome. That whole situation, that little sparring match she had. But I also appreciated Jason versus Dr. Light. It's nice that he basically took the principles that Dick has been like, you know, implementing in their training, kind of letting them know like, okay, if your sensors are taken or whatever, you need to be able to kind of be on your toes essentially. And he starts kicking Dr. Light's ass. That is until Deathstroke showed up, and it's like, we don't see where it happens, but obviously Jason is being used as bait to draw the others out. Because it's a whole thing of like, Jason wanted so hard to prove himself. Gar's like, oh, we should call Dick. And he's like, nah, come on, we're just going to do reconnaissance. And even Gar's like, you're a little overdressed in your Robin suit to be just reconnaissance. But they split up and everything. And even Gar being like, dude, have you seen a damn horror movie, dude? He's like, okay, sure, I'll go this way by myself. But yeah, that's probably not going to be a pretty scene. The whole, and because it literally, and you know, because of comics and just because a little bit I do know about comics and stuff, it just makes me go like, you know what? They're going to shift the Joker thing around and make it, instead of Joker, it's actually Slade in this instance that does the whole, you know, potentially beating Jason to death or straight up killing him thing. That was something kind of floating through my mind. I was like, I don't think they'd go down that route, but you never know. They might kind of hint potentially going down that route, but maybe they won't actually do that. All at the same time, we have Corey's side of the story where obviously she's dealing with the dude that zapped her last episode. He's part of her royal guard sent to get her. She is in fact the queen. I did like the fact that they did bring up Black Star. I was like, yes! You know, just because, and once again, because of the Teen Titans cartoon, I'm curious if they're going to make her an asshole. I don't know if that's true to who she is in the comic books, but definitely in the Teen Titans cartoon, she was she's kind of always depicted as an asshole, like no matter what the cartoon version is. So I'm curious how they're going to keep up with that. But it's so interesting because their parents don't come up in question. So I'm wondering, like, are her? Well, no, because I forgot. I had to correct myself. They do, because like she was like, "Did my parents send you?" And it's like, it was actually. Or was he saying, no, because like, she was like, Blackfire sent you specifically. Of course she'd send the one guard I slept with. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. But he's like, no, I came here of my own volition. Because I knew if anyone could bring you back, it'd be me. You know, for him, it's like the whole thing of like, she can't run from her great destiny. Because when he looks at her, he sees who she could be, that this great queen for Tamarin. But for her, it's like, here on Earth, you have a choice. Like, even being with someone, it seems like Tamarin has a class system where it's like, just if you're a commoner, there's no way you're going to hook up with royalty. So their little thing was just kind of, you know, because even like, you know, Corey's like, yeah, it was kind of a one-off. It was like, you're still sprung on the girl that it was like a one-night thing. And he's like, yeah, I am that kind of guy. You know, it's like, because if he goes back without her, it will mean a death sentence. So she's like, you're literally putting me in a tough spot, because you can tell she is enjoying being around him and stuff, like especially when he steals the jewels first. She's like, come on, and everything. And she was willing to go if it meant like, hey, he was okay, because she was thinking like, yeah, things are kind of complicated, but it's like, hey, if Donna and the others needed me, they would have called me, like, because, you know, her and Donna had talked and everything. So, you know, so she thought like, hey, Rachel was okay, but then Rachel called her and it was like, she's afraid to keep everything on, like, you know, can I go to Tamarin with you? But she's like, no, like my people, my world is no place for you. So, you know, because for her, it's like, there's this little extended family that she's become a part of, you know, in Rachel's case, and she feels like, but none of them are staying. They're all kind of moving on, and she kind of feels like she's getting a little left behind in a certain extent. You know, it's like, and she was worried the same thing was happening to Corey, but even Corey's like, yeah, I had to go back home. But hearing that Rachel's in trouble, like, because she cares deeply for her, she's like, you know what? Don't worry, I'm on my way. So I even love her leading home dude to the ship, and he pauses for a second, and he's like, don't, and he turns around and she's go out the door. She's like, don't worry, there's plenty enough food in there to last 10 years. And he's like, I could blast my way out of here. But she's like, yeah, but if you did that, we wouldn't have a ship, because apparently he crashed his ship and it's probably super messed up. So just wait here. I'll be back. So that's going to be interesting. It's like, but you do know, like, you're not coming back. They're just going to send a shit ton of people after you, which she's like, let them come. So that's going to be something like, all while, you know, the Slade and Dr. Light situation, which who's to say there won't be other villains tacked onto that? Maybe there will be, maybe there won't. But at the same time, it's like, you're also going to have to deal with all the Tamaranians coming. I'm assuming it'd be neat if we got Blackfire showing up herself. They'd be like, hello, little sister. I'm like, dude, that'd be dope to kind of get that in live action wise. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I'm also curious, like, I wonder in any shape or form, do they have different powers? I mean, because the Royal Guard dude, I don't know if that, like, what Corey can do, whether or not that's just a royal thing, or can any Tamaranian do? Because I know, like, obviously, just based on Teen Titans, that obviously Starfire and Blackfire have the same powers, but I don't know if maybe the same thing doesn't apply in the comic books, and maybe in this, I'd assume so, but maybe it'll look a little differently. I don't know. I'm interested to kind of dive into all of that. I'm also curious to see what this whole Rose situation ends up being. Like, obviously, you know, Dick here taking, you know, under another, you know, as they brought up last episode, another injured bird under his wing and everything. So I'm curious to see, you know, I'm curious to see if she ends up shifting sides, like if the truth comes out about whatever went down with her brother all those years ago. So I'm very interested to see where ultimately all this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Until next time we meet, be happy, be safe, all life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.